Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most exciting topics for coin collectors and treasure hunters: the most valuable wheat pennies ever made. First up, when we look at the 1944 Jefferson Nickel with a large payment mark above Monticello, we are looking at a coin from one of the most interesting periods in American coin history. This was during World War II, when the United States Mint made a major change to the composition of the 5-cent coin so that nickel metal could be saved for war production. From 1942 to 1945, these nickels were made of what collectors call war nickel alloy, which consisted of silver, manganese, and copper instead of the normal nickel mixture. Because of this, every wartime nickel has a large mint mark placed above the Monticello building on the reverse side, which makes them easy to identify even for beginners. Your coin from 1944 carries the large payment mark, showing that it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. And this mint mark style only appears on the wartime silver nickels. The 1944 P. Jefferson Nickel is part of a series that holds both historical and collectible significance. These coins were made with 35% silver, so even circulated examples have some intrinsic metal value. They are often collected by people who appreciate wartime artifacts or who enjoy the story behind the materials used during that difficult period. Although millions of these coins were minted, they remain popular because of their silver content and their unique position in U.S. coinage history. The large mint mark was introduced so inspectors could easily identify silver nickels in circulation. But today, it serves as a clear marker for collectors searching for war nickels. The coin you have is in fine condition with scratches, which is typical for a coin that has been circulating for many decades. A fine-grade coin generally shows moderate wear across Jefferson's portrait, where the hair detail is worn down but still visible. The lettering remains readable, and the Monticello building on the reverse may show flattened steps, but the main structure remains clear. Scratches and small marks happen naturally when coins move through circulation, and although they affect eye appeal slightly, they do not dramatically change the value for this particular date. Because war nickels are widely available, collectors often look for war nickels with sharp strikes, original luster, or high grades certified by grading services. Those rare high-grade pieces can sell for significantly higher prices. There are also a few era varieties known for this date, including double-die examples, but they are not extremely common and usually require magnification to identify. For a normal circulated 1944 P war nickel, the value is influenced more by silver content and general collector demand than by rarity. In today's market, a 1944 P. Jefferson Nickel in fine condition with noticeable scratches typically sells for around $1 to $2. The silver content alone gives it a base value. And collectors who want to assemble a full wartime nickel set often purchase circulated examples in this condition. Coins in higher grades, especially those with a strong strike, can be worth more, and uncirculated examples can reach several dollars. But for a fine condition circulated piece, the price generally stays modest yet respectable due to the metal content and historical value. Even though the monetary value is not extremely high, this coin carries a story far greater than its price tag. It represents a time when the entire country contributed to the war effort, even through something as small as a 5-cent coin. The shift from nickel to a silver alloy was a reminder of how every resource mattered. Holding a war nickel today is like holding a small piece of history, a reminder of the sacrifices and changes made during World War II. Many collectors appreciate these coins for exactly that reason. Your 1944 P war nickel has lived through nearly 8 decades of circulation, and the scratches and wear reflect that long journey. It may have passed through thousands of hands, been used in countless transactions, and traveled across the country many times before finally reaching your collection. Its fine condition means it still shows good detail, even after all those years. For many collectors, the marks and wear are part of its character, showing the life it has lived. Next up, the 1949 Jefferson Nickel. Without a mint mark is a coin that reflects the post-war era of American coinage, a time when the United States was rebuilding, expanding, and moving into a new period of economic growth. This nickel was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally did not use a mint mark on Jefferson nickels until decades later. Because of that, the absence of a mint mark simply identifies the coin as a Philadelphia issue, and collectors recognize it as part of the regular circulation run of that year. The 1949 issue comes after the wartime silver nickels had ended, so the metal composition returned to the standard copper-nickel alloy, giving the coin its familiar durability and metallic appearance. This coin carries the classic design that had already become familiar to Americans since its introduction in 1938. On the obverse is the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, with the date placed to the right. In very fine condition, Jefferson's portrait remains clearly outlined, although some of the sharper details, especially the hair above the ear and the cheek area, may show light wear from circulation. The lettering around the obverse remains fully readable, and despite the scratches present on the coin, most of the key design elements remain intact. Scratches are common on circulated coins, especially those that were used daily for decades. And while they slightly reduce aesthetic appeal, they do not take away from the historical value or overall collectability of a typical circulated 1949 nickel. Even though the 1949 Philadelphia Jefferson nickel is not a rare coin, it still holds appeal among collectors, especially those working to complete year-by-year sets of the Jefferson series. The 1940s decade is popular because it includes both wartime silver nickels and the transitional years immediately after the war. By 1949, the mint had resumed normal production, yet the design remained nearly unchanged, making this coin part of a long, consistent series in American coinage. In today's market, the value of a 1949 Jefferson nickel without mint mark in very fine condition, even with scratches, remains modest, because millions were struck and many still survive in circulation or in collections. This date does not command high premium prices unless it is in uncirculated or certified high-grade condition. A typical circulated example like yours usually sells in the range of 20 to 50 cents in the current market. Very fine condition gives it a little more strength compared to lower grades, but the scratches and overall wear keep it in the affordable range. Higher-end versions of the same coin, especially those with full steps on Monticello, can reach significantly higher values. But circulated coins are generally valued for completeness rather than rarity. Even though the financial value remains low, the historical interest is still present. A coin like this tells the story of everyday life in the late 1940s and early 1950s. It may have been used in grocery stores, gas stations, or movie theaters, carried in pockets and cash registers at a time when America was changing rapidly. Every mark and scratch reflects the coin's journey across countless transactions and decades of use. Coins like this have lived real lives in circulation, and their wear patterns reveal the passage of time for collectors who appreciate the Jefferson Nickel series. A 1949 Philadelphia issue in very fine condition can serve as a solid example of mid-century coinage. It helps complete the timeline between the silver wartime nickels and the later years when mint marks became more standardized. It also stands as a reminder of how durable coins were during this era, surviving 75 years or more and still retaining much of their original detail. Next up, the 1943 Jefferson Nickel with the large P. Mint mark is a coin that comes from one of the most historically significant periods in American coinage. This was during World War II, when nickel was considered a critical material for the production of military equipment. So the United States Mint changed the composition of the 5-cent coin to conserve nickel. From 1942 to 1945, these war nickels were made from an alloy of 35% silver, 56% copper, and 9% manganese, rather than the normal copper-nickel combination. The large mint mark above Monticello on the reverse side was a unique feature introduced to indicate these coins were made with silver, making them easier to identify during inspections and now easily recognizable to collectors. Your coin, the 1943 P, was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and the large P mint mark sits clearly above the Monticello building, signaling its wartime silver composition. The 1943 P Jefferson Nickel is historically and numismatically interesting because it reflects a time when the United States was fully mobilized for war. The use of silver in nickels was a small but meaningful contribution to the war effort, conserving critical metals for ammunition, aircraft, and other military uses. Millions of these coins were produced to keep up with circulation demands, but the silver content makes them more desirable today than standard copper-nickel nickels of other years. Collectors often look for these wartime nickels because they represent a tangible connection to a unique period in history and are part of a broader collection of World War II-era coins. In today's market, a 1943 P Jefferson Nickel in good condition with scratches generally carries modest value, primarily due to its silver content. Even with wear, the silver in the alloy gives the coin intrinsic value. And collectors seeking to complete a set of wartime nickels will often include circulated examples. Typically, a 1943 P in this condition sells for around $2 to $5, depending on eye appeal, surface quality, and the visibility of the mint mark. Coins in higher grades, especially those that are uncirculated or have strong luster, can sell for much higher amounts, sometimes reaching $10 or more. While your coin is not an extreme high-grade example, it still has appeal for collectors who value history, silver content, and the wartime story behind the coin, beyond monetary value. The 1943 P Jefferson Nickel carries historical significance as a witness to life during World War II. It circulated at a time when Americans were contributing to the war effort in many ways, and even small coins like this one played a part. It would have been used in stores, payphones, vending machines, and everyday purchases, moving from hand to hand and marking countless moments of daily life. The scratches and wear are reminders of the coin's journey and the ordinary, yet important, role it played during that era. Collectors value these coins not only for their silver content but also for their historical context. The 1943 P is part of a series that represents a significant moment in U.S. coinage history, the temporary shift to silver to support the war effort. Its design remained consistent with the Jefferson Nickel series introduced in 1938, but the unique composition and large mint mark distinguish it from other years and make it a sought-after piece for completing sets. In conclusion, the 1943 Jefferson Nickel with the P mint mark in good condition with scratches is a historically significant coin with modest market value. It's typically around $2 to $5. Its wartime silver composition, prominent mint mark, and circulation history give it a story that goes beyond its face value. Despite wear and scratches, it remains a tangible piece of history, connecting collectors to the World War II era and the small everyday contributions that coins like this represented. Next up, the 1945 Jefferson Nickel with the large S mint mark is a coin from the final year of the United States wartime nickel production. During World War II, from 1942 to 1945, nickel was a critical material for the war effort, and the mint adjusted the composition of the 5-cent coin to conserve this valuable metal. Wartime nickels, like the 1945 issue, were composed of 35% silver, 56% copper, and 9% manganese. This alloy change made the coins slightly lighter in color and gave them a distinct, silver-like appearance compared to regular copper-nickel nickels. One unique feature of these wartime coins was the placement of the mint mark above the Monticello building on the reverse, which allowed for easy identification of the silver content. Your coin carries the S Mint mark, indicating it was struck at the San Francisco Mint. And the large mint mark design is typical of this era. The 1945 S. Jefferson Nickel is historically significant because it represents the last year of the war nickel program. By this time, millions of these silver-containing coins were being circulated to meet the demand for everyday transactions, while preserving nickel for military needs. The large S Mint mark not only identifies the mint location, but also serves as a distinctive feature that collectors often look for when completing wartime nickel sets. Even though millions of these coins were produced, their silver content and historical context make them interesting pieces for collectors today. Your 1945 S nickel is in good condition with some scratches, which is common for coins that have circulated for more than 75 years. A coin in good condition generally shows wear on the higher points of Jefferson's portrait on the obverse, such as the hair and cheek, but the overall outline remains clear and recognizable. The date 1945 is fully readable, and the S Mint mark is still distinct despite minor surface damage. Scratches, minor dents, and light discoloration are normal for coins that have passed through decades of circulation, and they add character to the coin, reflecting the history of its use in everyday American life. In today's market, a 1945's Jefferson Nickel in good condition with scratches typically has modest value, primarily because of its silver content and collectible interest. Even circulated coins from this series tend to sell for more than face value due to the intrinsic silver content, though they are still affordable for most collectors. Generally, a coin in this condition sells for around $2 to $5. Depending on eye appeal, the clarity of the mint mark, and the presence of scratches, higher grade or uncirculated coins from the same year can reach much higher prices, sometimes exceeding $10. But a circulated example in good condition remains a realistic and accessible addition to a collection beyond monetary value. The 1945 S. Jefferson Nickel is historically meaningful. It represents the resourcefulness of the United States during World War II and the ways in which everyday items, including coins, were adapted to support the war effort. This coin circulated in ordinary transactions, paying for groceries, streetcar fares, vending machines, and countless other daily purchases, connecting it to the lives of Americans during the final year of the war. Every scratch and mark on the coin reflects the decades it spent in pockets, cash drawers, and coin collections, giving it a tangible link to history. Collectors value this coin not only for its silver content, but also for its place in the Jefferson Nickel series and its role in the broader story of U.S. coinage during wartime. Even with minor scratches and signs of wear, it serves as a compelling educational piece, illustrating both design, consistency, and material changes during an important era. For beginners and experienced collectors alike, a 1945's Jefferson Nickel provides a window into the past and a hands-on connection to the historical events that shaped the coin's production.